Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your science teacher from Kids University for grade 5. Our today's topics are from chapter 17, Force. We will learn about what is force, how force is measured, what is the unit of force, who first described the force, what is friction, what are advantages and disadvantages of friction, what is lubrication and streamlining. Force. Have you ever observed how things are moving around you? Sometimes they take no time to move, while other time these things need to give a push to start or even to stop. The brakes in the car, train or public buses helps them to stop so that you can easily be dropped wherever you want to get off from that vehicle. Have you noticed why do tires have tread on them? Have you ever seen a pottery maker press the clay dough, make an effort to transform merely a dough into a beautiful flower pot? Why we slip and fall sometimes when we move on the floor? All this is happening because of force. Everything that is happening around us, either moving or stationary, forces are acting on everything. All the planets are moving in apparently still, dark, and silent space in universe, and moving in their own same orbit since thousands of years, and do not get dispersed. If you observe, all these are moving in such a slow speed that due to this we are unable to feel their movements, which involves some force too. Why the desks in your classroom and the teacher's chair remains on the same place and does not move from their places until you tend to move it to the other place. What is force? Force is a push or a pull exerted by one object to another. When objects have forces acting on them, they may begin to move, speed up, slow down or stop moving, change the direction in which they are moving. We cannot see forces, but we can see the effects of force exhibited in form of movements or changes in direction. It can be a push, a pull, a stretch, a squeeze, a catch, or a twist, etc. The potter is applying a force to the clay to change its shape. Or when your mother kneads dough, she needs to apply force to make it softer for making perfect bread. The force of your foot pushing on the pedal while you ride on your bicycle to keep it moving, or when you press the gear of brakes to stop the wheels. We apply a force on the steering wheel to turn the direction of car. When your teachers stretch the rubber band to tie the roll of your test papers, where stretch is an example of pull, twist, turn, and squeeze is an example of push. When you twist and turn the doorknob of your room and push it, the door opens up. And when you pull the door, it closes up. All of them are example of force from your daily life. How do we measure force? Spring balance. A spring balance, which is also known as spring scale or Newton meter, is a type of weighing scale. We can measure force by using a spring balance. We call the spring balance a Newton meter, which is named after Sir Isaac Newton, who first described force. It consists of a spring fixed at one end and a hook to attach an object at the other. A spring balance measures the weight of an object by opposing the force of gravity. The SI unit of measuring force is Newton and is denoted by capital N. The symbol of force is represented as capital F. 1 Newton is a very weak force and equals approximately up to 101.97 grams. 10 Newton force equals to 10 kilograms. Who first described the force? Sir Isaac Newton was an English mathematician and physicist who lived from 1642 to 1727, who first described the force. What is friction? Have you ever rubbed your hands together in winter season to warm up yourself and you feel your hands warm up after a few seconds? What is friction? Have you ever seen when metallic machines come in contact with each other in a factory, they produce a spark like fire? Do you have any idea what is the science behind it? Friction. It is all because of friction. Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding over each other. It is a resistance that when a force is applied by an object, while one surface of any object is rolling or sliding over surface of other objects. In other words, friction is produced when one body opposes the motion of other body by using force. Whenever there is a friction, the heat energy will be produced. Friction will be produced more when the surfaces are dry and rough, while smooth and moist surface prevents friction. Advantages of friction. Have you ever noticed the tires in your car wheel have tread? Why? What happens if the ground is slippery? Friction between the rough surface of road and tires with designed treads on its surface helps the car to move smoothly on street without slipping. Friction between your shoes on the ground stops you from slipping. Friction helps you to write. Your pencil would slip out of your finger if there is no friction between your fingers and the pencil. Friction helps you to stop smoothly when you give brake to your car, bicycle, motorbike and trains, etc. Disadvantages of friction. Sometimes friction creates some problems. If you want to move an object, friction causes an object to stop or slow down. Friction causes wear and tear of moving parts. For example, the soles of your shoes, nib of pencil, and eraser and tires of vehicle wear away. It also creates heat energy which affects the performance and function of any machinery. Friction produces heat which causes wastage of energy in machines and your machine starts consuming more fuel than regular days. Ways to reduce friction. Do you know why boric powder is used on carom board? Smooth surfaces have less friction. When we make a surface smooth, the friction is reduced and the striker moves fast, sliding smoothly on the board. Have you ever seen your mother pouring oil drops in her sewing machine? She pours it to run her sewing machine smoothly and to prevent the wear away in the machine parts. Or sometimes she pours few drops in the hinge screw of the door as they produce sounds when they get old, dry and produce noise when you open the door. There are ways to reduce friction, that is, lubrication and streamlining. Lubrication. Lubricants like oil and grease can reduce friction. Lubricant works two ways. They reduce friction and they prevent the part of machines from wearing away. Streamlining. Some vehicle that moves through air or water, their surfaces are designed smooth and round to reduce friction, to move fast and consume less fuel. A streamlined object will cut through the air with less resistance, just like a sharp knife cuts through materials better than a dull one. The streamlined shapes of birds and fish show how nature has designed them to move fast in the air and through water. Homework. Do exercise A and B from page 110, chapter 17, force in your science copy. My dear students, this is all for today. I have provided the glossary at the bottom of your slide wherever I failed to tell you about meaning of any word. Use the dictionary if you find any
Our
further
topic
difficulty.
for today is
Next week
force,
we will learn about the
work,
remaining topics from
and
chapter 17,
energy.
force. Give a read before our next lesson. All you have to do is to
Force
open up your
is the
lesson, listen
push
to the
or
audio
pull
and watch the
applied
related
on an
videos
object.
and then do your given assignment or homework. For further understanding, you can send questions if you want to ask anything through WhatsApp.
It can move a
Inshallah,
stationary
we will connect
object
you next week. Allah Hafiz.
or stop a movement. moving object. Force can also change the speed and direction of a moving object. If enough force is applied, it can also change the shape or size of an object. When force is applied on an object, resulting in the movement of that object, work is said to be done. Work can be calculated using the formula work done is equal to force into distance. The ability or the capacity to do work is called energy. The food that we eat gives us energy to do various activities.
What is friction? Friction is the reason we are not constantly slipping and sliding on floors, roads, and everywhere. Friction is the force that is created when two surfaces move or try to move across each other. The amount of friction produced during this process depends on the texture of both the surfaces and the amount of contact force that is pushing the two surfaces together. The force acts in the opposite direction to the way an object wants to slide. When you want to stop your bicycle, you press the brake, and your bicycle slows down because of the friction created between the brakes and the wheels. Different solid objects experience different amount of frictions. An eraser on a glass-top table will experience more friction than a coin, which will experience more friction than an ice cube on the same table. Why do you slip and fall when the floor has just been mopped? This is because liquid creates a barrier between the ground and your shoes and makes the friction a lot less. It is because of less friction that you hear of many accidents during monsoons. Even though the friction of the brakes is still there, the brakes may be wet, and the wheels are not in as much contact with the ground because of the water. Project. Slide a coin across a marble floor and then slide the same coin across a concrete pavement. What difference do you notice? Why does this happen?